Want to know how I went from this to this? Stick around to find out. My name is Katarina, and I live in a small town in beautiful northern Alberta. I restore and refinish furniture, both for myself and for clients. Welcome to my shop. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode. Today, I am featuring a 1968 Victoriaville dining set. This dining set was actually gifted to me along with a sideboard, and I wasn't quite sure what to do with it at first. There's a lot going on here. There are obviously pieces that are not together. The chairs have been completely disassembled, and while they are numbered, they do present a number of problems that I've had to fix. One of the chairs had an issue with the rattan, and several of the chairs had broken spindles, and they were just in rough shape overall, so they presented quite a bit of a challenge for me. Not that I'm shy against challenges, I just actually wasn't expecting this dining set to present as many challenges as it did while working on it. And at some point, actually, I thought that I wasn't going to even complete this project because it was really wearing me out, and I just wasn't sure what I was going to do with it at the end. Before I begin working on these pieces, I like to clean everything with a water and TSP solution, so that way I'm working with a clean slate right from the beginning. Normally, when I'm working on my pieces, I like to take everything apart, make sure that everything is solid and sound and stable. And as I found out while doing this was not something I was able to accomplish, and I had to end up doing several repairs as a result of me attempting to take it apart. So unfortunately, I did damage it a little bit and had to work at repairing it. Okay guys, full transparency, there are so many things that I could have done different in this particular case with this project. I definitely, when I'm reviewing the video, the things I did, I definitely took a lot of lessons away from doing this project. This was a learning curve for me for sure, and I hesitated to actually post a lot of the content here or the video that I took, because honestly, I'm putting myself out there by doing that, and it's a strange place to be in, but I believe in transparency and being honest and showing you guys that, you know, even those of us who do this on a regular basis make really massive mess ups every now and then. So the rest of this part of the video is me screwing up and realizing that I screwed up, and recognizing that I had to then repair the screw up. So I just wanted to share that ahead of what you're about to watch, because I'm sure many of you will be watching and being like, why would you do that? So I'm well aware that I screwed up, but I wanted to make sure that I was transparent with you guys, so that way you knew that I'm not hiding anything, and this doesn't always go as planned, and sometimes you don't find out until you're pretty knee deep into it. So here you go. Usually I would actually take all these apart. There's a bunch of screws in here, and I just tried taking this one apart and that did not work. So I was stubborn and persistent and ended up, it came off in one chunk but did some damage. So I just re-glued all of that back together. And yeah, lesson learned. Sometimes you don't learn these things until you learn them. So okay, so this is where I'm at. All the chairs are sanded with a finishing sand of 220. And now I'm going to be working on this chair here. This chair needs new rattan. And full disclaimer, this is one of the first projects that I'll be working on that has rattan that needs to be repaired. So I had to do a little bit of research on how to put it on properly, and I came across a really great episode or instructional how-to video on how to do that, so I will link that in the comments below. And it really actually helped, because when I was taking everything apart, I did it wrong. Knowing that I wasn't going to be keeping the rattan, I just kind of went at it, but there's another way to do it so that everything comes out smoother, especially the spline, which was the most difficult part to get out, and that's the part that took the longest for me to remove. So now I know better. I'm not going to do that again, and you will see in the video how much of a struggle it was for me, and it's because there's an easier way and I just didn't know. So now I do know, and I will share that information for everyone else who ends up working on a rattan chair or is repairing or replacing a rattan piece. So this is wood spline. This is what goes into the groove of the chair here. And what you want to make sure is that, I can't remember, this is the number 8. They come in different sizes based on the dimension of the groove. So make sure that when you're ordering your spline that you measure the distance of your groove properly, so that way you order the right one. Because if it's too tight, then it could potentially tear the rattan as you are putting it in and securing it with the spline. So this is a number 8 spline, and it's a decent size, and it goes in really well. It fits nice and snug without being too tight. So there's room left over for me to add the rattan. So that's what I'm going to do. The first step that I need to do is to soak my spline and my rattan. So that's what I'm going to do first, and it needs to soak for about 20 to 30 minutes, and from what I understand, you don't want to soak it for very much longer than that, because then the rattan becomes too fragile and the risk of ripping and tearing and not being able to use it is much higher. So 20 to 30 minutes, you just want it to be wet, so that way you can use it and move it around. So I'm gonna go do that, and I'll catch you very soon for the next step.
Bye, Mommy.
Okay, so everything has been soaked, and it's nice and movable. And now it's time to make it centered. I'm gonna use this as my center point to find it in place as I'm going around. That's not working. This guy that I watched took out some of these other pieces that were not needed. And ouch, he took them out because he said it helped make the reed easier to work with. So that's what we're gonna do. Get sick. I'm really stubborn, and I have to be really careful here because I only have one of these, and if I mess it up, I have to buy another one. I don't really want to do that. Around, I think he went around, yeah, with the wedge. Yes, that's right. He went around with the wedge. Okay, probably way too many expletives used in the last 10 minutes. But this is where I'm at. This section up here is tough, and honestly, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I'm going to try it. So I'm going to release wedges here and just start putting in a bead of glue. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but the problem is I've got this chair rail here that does not sit totally straight, and like it's really irritating me. So this is fun. So I'm going to set this chair aside. I have 5 others that are in good condition that I don't have to do any repairs on. So I'm going to continue on with this project and not worry about this. If this was a client chair, that'd be a different scenario. But this is not a project for a client. I'm going to end up keeping this table. If we only have 5 chairs, I'm really not that worried about it. There's only 4 of us. And then my son comes over from the east every few months or so, so we'll have a 5th chair. So I'm just going to do 5 chairs because this dining set project has taken me already almost an entire month, and I don't want to work on it anymore. I have other things I want to do. So yeah, I broke it. So I'll have to fix that somehow. Cut myself in the process. There it is. No surprise there. I'm pretty clumsy. And there's the rattan. So sometimes things like this happen and I am calling it quits because it's just not worth the level of frustration that it was giving me. So maybe I need a different sized spline. Maybe I don't know. And frankly, I don't care at this present moment. So I'm going to put this part of the project to bed, and I'm going to continue on with working on the rest of the project and get this project finished and painted and top coated and everything, because I don't want to see it anymore until it's upstairs in my house ready to be eaten on. So that's where I'm at. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay, so I'm just doing the repairs now to the rest of the chairs. I need to fill some of the holes. Got glue all over me. I need to fill up some of the holes where the old spindles were, and where they were connected, they had little dowels connecting them into the chair. So that's what I'm doing next, and I'll show you how I do that. So I'm using my hand miter cutter. And this is a really cool little tool because I can adjust my cuts based on what angle I need in both directions. And so here I'm just cutting a straight piece. Just gonna cut, now eyeball it about an inch and a half. Then I'm gonna cut out, and then just gonna take some wood glue. But there's a hole here and some of the other ones don't have holes because the dowels stayed in and they're okay. Like, I was able to cut them flush, so they're okay. So I'm going to add in some wood glue, and I want to fill the hole with wood glue. So like back what I don't need, so that it comes out, so that I know that there's going to be a really good seal all the way around this piece. And yep, I cut it larger than the wood that I need, so that way when that's nice and dry, I'll come back and I'll just cut it off or If I can't get my tooling close enough, then I'll just use my handsaw. And just putting the tape there for good measure, just to keep everything pushing down gently. And that's that. And so that's what I've done on all the rest of them. So the ones that don't need a dowel, I've used some Quick Wood, which is by JB Weld. And it's a 2-part epoxy that you just comes in this tube, and it's really easy. You just cut out what you need and you mix it. So, and I'm just going to go back over this once this all dries. It's pretty quick. Just wanted to fill in some of the imperfections there. These little gaps right here where there's dowel in there, but it's not flush to the top. So I will be just adding some epoxy to the top and then sanding that to smooth, and that will be okay. So everything has been scraped back, and there are some obvious issues that need to be dealt with and addressed before I can do anything else to this table, as well as design ideas now, because some of these are just not worth the effort to stain it if I can paint it. So issue number 1, so this is a veneer top, and it has failed very badly in this one section that happens to be on the edge of the table right in the middle. It's a fairly large section, probably about 3 inches, and that is the particle board inside underneath. And then this, I'm not even quite sure what happened here. It looks like someone tried to glue it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this with some epoxy, and then I'm going to sand this down, and then this entire border on the exterior part of the table I'm going to paint black to match the chairs, and that includes this underside as well. The second issue is really deep. It's not too bad actually. What I'm going to do is I'm going to steam it first and see if I can't raise the wood, because it goes all the way through the middle of the table from here to the end, right over here, right where that other issue was. So I'm going to steam this section, see if I can raise the wood, and then do a sanding on it. And then the other issue, the veneer has lifted in this corner on this edge of the table. So I'm going to glue that down. Sorry, a little bit of lift right here, and there's some missing veneer. So what I'll do is I will fill that also with some epoxy and then color match it at the end. It won't be perfect, but it's a corner, so I'm not, or an edge, so I'm not super concerned with that. And then all the little dings and imperfections and things like that will get smoothed out as I sand. So that's what's going to be done first. And then this will be sanded with a 120 and then a 150 grit in preparation for stain. And then the border will be done with a 220, and then I will tape off the table and everything will be painted around the edge. Oh, here's another. Okay, so change of plan. Okay, so what I did, and I may have to go back over this, but I mixed some wood glue and some wood dust. Just added a whole bunch on there. I will smooth it down and see what's left, but I want to glue inside there first to make sure the fibers are not falling out and that it's stable. So if I need to do an epoxy then, or wood filler on top, then I can. So we'll see how that does. I'm going to leave that to dry and then I will come back and see what's going to happen with that repair after. Okay, so that did actually a really good job of lifting it. So now I can come in and I can sand that back. And once that dries, for a finishing sand in preparation for stain. Yeah, excellent. So this is what happens when you rush. Went to take off my gloves. Dropped my whitewash all over the floor. So I'm going to just take a minute and clean that up and then get on to the stain because that's awesome. Okay, so now these pieces are whitewashed. You can see that they've lost a little bit of that yellow tint. And so now I'm going to go over them with a driftwood stain just to kill some of that whitewash. Sorry, fruit wood, not driftwood, fruit wood. Number 241. And just gonna go over that to kill some of that whiteness on the piece. So I'm gonna do that now and I'll show you. Okay, so I'm just gonna take my rag and probably just do it on this most visible area here for you. So what I don't want is that yellow tone that comes out when you're staining oak. I'm trying to avoid that at all costs. And so this fruit wood color goes over the whitewash and gives you a little bit of color without amplifying that mucky orange. That, let's be honest, really dates and ages a piece. So just gonna get as much of this stain on here as quickly as I can. Really doesn't matter how stain goes on, as long as it gets on there. I'm gonna wipe it all back anyways. Okay, so here is, whoop, almost dropped my phone. Here it is, finished. And yeah, that will get top coated and the base is done. Thank you guys for watching and hanging out with me on this episode. This project kicked my butt and I wanted to just share with you as much of it as I could, and I hope you got as much satisfaction out of the end result as I did. It really was a tough project for me, and I'm really happy with the end result, and I'm really happy that it's finished. There really were a lot of ups and downs with this project, and I really struggled with it at some points, but I'm really happy with getting through it and persevering right to the end, and I think it turned out beautifully. I'm really excited for my family and I to have many years of dinners around this table with lots of memories. So thank you again for watching. All the links for tools and episodes that I learned about how to do rattan will be in the description below. If you want to support my channel, please look into buying me a coffee. Always a great way to support a new content creator here. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I will see you on the next episode. Please don't forget to share this, like this, and subscribe. Have a great day, guys. Bye for now.